Hello folks, my name is Jonathan Milam and I hope you're having a great day. I do a lot of trumpet reviews on my YouTube channel. Today will be just a little bit different. There's an article at trumpetherald.com, which is a great forum for trumpeters. Lots of information there, great place to pitch in and also pick up on tidbits and thoughts. But there's a thread at the moment, I believe it's called Smoky and Dark. And the thought is, how do you get a smoky and dark sound? Well, that's really a great question. And of course, you can, to some degree, alter your natural sound. I've heard Arturo Sandoval with his 3C sound both smoky, dark, and bright and piercing. So if you're a true master, you can do it. And I think the larger a mouthpiece you use, the more option you have there for getting a big, dark, and smoky sound. If you're using a small mouthpiece, I think it limits you just a little bit. Now, but we all have a sound concept that we like. And my concept is a strong trumpet sound. Chris Bodie, to my way of thinking, plays dark. I don't envisage that when I play, and I certainly don't come close to achieving that intonation or tonality, darkness, whatever you please. Now, the easiest way to alter your tone is with a mouthpiece. Having said that, some trumpets do play darker. And at this thread, there's a great link to an article that talks about the taper of a trumpet. Really a great link there. But at any rate, what I've got here is a few different trumpets, in fact, 4 different ones, and 1 cornet, because I want to use a cornet mouthpiece in my illustration of what I think is smoky as well as rather dark. And inevitably, when one talks dark and smoky, Chet Baker seems to come up. What a masterful player, and what a compelling sound. Pretty much dark, but to my way of thinking, very smoky. Just a breathy, almost airy sound, which kills my chops to try and imitate. With a mouthpiece, it's a little bit easier. In fact, I've got a secret weapon here, which we'll hit in just a moment and show you how that helps. Okay, I'm not going to use a bunch of different mouthpieces with the cornet. I'm going to use one, then I've got an adapter and I'm going to use it on the other trumpets. But the bell of the horn also is a great help. Of course, if you've got a large taper, you're probably going to have a darker sound. If you've got a large throat, that would help. And material as well. This, of course, is an Olds Recording Cornet, one of certainly the best cornets ever made. And they called it a rayalloy, although I've read some people say it's essentially bronze. But at any rate, this has the bronze or rayalloy lead pipe and also the bell. I'm going to use one of the great mouthpieces if you want to get a good dark sound. And of course, you'll need an adapter for trumpet, which I've got. But this is the Curry Vintage Cornet. Quite a deep V, very, very unique shaped, and a relatively large drill size. I think it's about 19, but it gets a breathy sound. It's not the darkest mouthpiece I've ever seen, but it gets a hint of breathiness, which I think is tremendous. We'll play Summertime to the best of our ability. And of course, this again is with an Olds Recording Cornet and a Mark Curry VC Vintage Cornet mouthpiece. Okay, and generally at Trumpet Herald, we're talking trumpets. And I just wanted to use that cornet to illustrate what you can do with a great old cornet. And you can buy these old cornets. An old special, to my way of thinking, is a fantastic cornet. The tricolor one with a very thick nickel silver bell and the bronze tip. Okay, now this is, to my way of thinking, this is what I envisage as a trumpet sound. And it's what I'm most comfortable working with, and it's considerably brighter than that. But then we'll illustrate how changing mouthpieces can help you achieve a tone if you like. All right, as you notice, that's a little bit brighter sound. To me, that's the sound that I'm going for with the trumpet 9 times out of 10. Only time I'd want something different is if you want to incorporate a slightly different sound to your playing. Now, we're going to take that vintage vintage cornet mouthpiece with a mouthpiece adapter and put it on the trumpet. And I think you'll notice it's a little darker, and quite a bit smokier. Breathy, smoky is my thought there. And this is a Bach Stradivarius 25 large bore 25 Belle. This is what Chet Baker was using on one of his more popular concerts, and we'll try and get that Chet sound with the help of a mouthpiece. He was using, I believe, a 10.5 CW, which would be a 10.5 C wide small mouthpiece, and I'm using a little bit larger. My diameter is close to a 7. Now, if you play at a full volume, rushing a lot of air through the horn, you're going to limit the amount of darkness that you can achieve. You have to back off a little bit and not press the metal too much, or you'll get a naturally bright sound. I've seen people take a cornet and make it sound just like a trumpet. And if you want to, certainly that's your option. But I prefer having a little bit of distinction in my sound. Now, to my way of thinking, that vintage cornet mouthpiece gives a dark and breathy sound. But if you want the ultimate in darkness, this is the Reeves C2J. You're looking into the edge of eternity there. That mouthpiece has got about an 11 drill, which I believe is what some trombones have. Very deep. And Bob actually cut about ½ an inch of the mouthpiece off so that the intonation worked. Dark? Yes. Smoky? Well, I guess that's to our discretion exactly how we'd like to identify it. To my way of thinking, this is dark. That's about as dark as I can get. However, there is one other option. If you've got a Stradivarius, Yamaha, or Schilke, there is a man up in the cold climes of Wisconsin that makes tuning slides. This is a bronze tuning slide. Now, I've got a dark red brass bell or bronze, one or the other, not exactly sure what it is, that we'll try in just a moment. That certainly helps. But a good lead pipe. This is a bronze, very hardy color. You put that on and it enables you to achieve a significantly darker tone. And frankly, since this is a oval tuning slide with no brace, gives you a little more adaptability as far as lipping things, and also a more open feel as well. So we've still got the great 25 Belle on here, but now we're going with an MK aftermarket tuning slide that's bronze and the Reeves C2J mouthpiece. Okay, I think we've taken enough time with the 25. I do want you to notice the bell rim that there is on this. Very small, very fine. It's a corporation bell, so it should have a piece of metal in there. Later on, I believe the Selmer company chose to put a different filler in there other than metal. But now, this is a Mount Vernon Bach medium bore. And if you can see, it's got a flat rim. I think they call that a French bead. Very, very interesting trumpet. Doesn't have a marked bell, but I believe it is a 38. I'm not certain. I believe it is. Little bit larger throat than the 25. Medium bore. Very interesting horn. And frankly, when I switch back and forth between the medium and the large bore, it throws me off. But frankly, switching mouthpieces all the time does as well. Just something we get used to because I do enjoy the YouTube vids. Okay, so this is the Mount Vernon. I think it's a 38 bell. It's a medium bore. And I've got in it the MK aftermarket bronze tuning slide. I'm going to use the vintage Curry to give us a little more smoke, as well as slightly dark sound. Real quickly, I'll put in my standard mouthpiece so you can see what a difference there is. And now we'll play this Mount Vernon with the MK Bronze tuning slide with Reeves C2J trumpet flugel mouthpiece. Okay, you do have other options. I've got a tremendous Edwards trumpet here. It's a Gen 2, just before they started making the X13, I suppose. And it has the largest bell they made and the heaviest bell they made. So we'll give that a shot. First of all, with the Curry vintage cornet mouthpiece, of course, with an adapter. Marvelous trumpet. This is the Edwards Gen 2 Big Bell. I think the bell is a little larger than 5 1/4 inches. Nice sized throat and well-less flare. Now to me, that's rather dark, but I love the breathiness that's incorporated there. To me, that's the smoke, the breathiness. But we'll go with the Reeves C2J just to give you a very deep, dark, one man said creamy sound. It bothers my lip a little bit to do these different rims and the different depth of the mouthpieces. Okay, great trumpet here by Brent Peters. Looks like a cornet. Sounds a little like a flugel. This is his American Belle. Great instrument. Great instrument. Very large, almost the size of some flugels. Pretty nice sized throat. Pretty good sized flare all the way back. Just a very, very fine instrument, and honestly, one of the funnest horns I've ever played. If I'm not careful, I'll just ignore everything I've got and play the American Belle. It is a great Puje by Brent Peters. We'll play it first with the Mark Curry's VC vintage cornet mouthpiece. This, of course, has either a red brass bell. See if you can contrast it there with the lead pipe. It is bare metal, so it's getting quite a patina. But red brass, or maybe, boy, it's, you know, there's not a lot of percentage difference between the red brass and the bronze. In fact, the bronze itself can be 10 or 15% difference depending on how much zinc they've added to it, is my understanding. But we'll try this with the very dark Reeves C2J trumpet flugel mouthpiece. Well, I think the C2J by Reeves can really give you a dark mouthpiece. I like the smokiness that I get with Mark Curry's VC vintage cornet piece. The other piece that I was playing, really, I think it's a better fit for me than any mouthpiece I've ever played, is the GR. I use a 64 size, which is about a 7 diameter if you played a Bach. And it is the MS, just absolutely a tremendous mouthpiece. I think we've gone a little longer than I expected. I was hoping to keep this down to 15 minutes. The concepts, the terms dark, smoky. To me, smoky is breathy. Dark is just dark. Not a lot of high, bright overtones. But we tried it with 4 trumpets, 1 marvelous cornet, 3 very nice mouthpieces. As I've said before, the only thing we really need to have a fantastic video is a great player. Appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate the thumbs up, and more importantly, so does Google, the owners of YouTube. If I've got any horns for sale, and one of these fine specimens is actually on the market right now, there's a link for it in the first line of the comments, and we love the input that we get from people, as long as it's decent and fairly positive. But if you've got experience with these horns, mouthpieces, what you like to get a dark and smoky sound, please do feel free to pitch in. Talking together is really how we are able to grow as we move onward. And Trumpet Herald, I'll put a link there to the thread that we're talking about. And hope you enjoy this. Take care of yourself and someone near you.